Quote. Pum, 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 pum. Is it? Okay, record. Okay, hello. Welcome to our movie class. Today we will speak about movie club. Let's call it so. It's a club, more than class. So let's speak about an Irish movie in the name of Father. Yeah, Ireland. Go.
Yeah.
Oh, pretty
This is a true story too.
Yep. Oh, it's not that old. 1993, the movie. Yep.
Yeah.
So it's a fresh story, right?
It's a real story, and the producers and director are all big names. Jim Sheridan, Gabriel Byrne was a producer.
Okay, what about what time period is the story? So what
the story? The first bombing was in 1974, and they were arrested and jailed soon after, right, in the same year.
Mm-hmm.
And then the campaign really started growing in the 80s to free the Guildford Four.
Okay. But you know, as I shared in our pre-warming session, we know a very few about Ireland, about all this.
We know very little.
Very little about all these deals between British Empire and Ireland, and so I was surprised to see what it was, a tank on the streets of Ireland.
Yeah, in the 70s.
In the 70s. So tell us more. Tell us the pre-story about this.
Oof, it's a long story. I could try to summarize it very quickly.
Please.
There was an original policy of one of the kings, I think it was James VI, of planting Protestants into Ireland and breeding out the Catholics. Right, that was the original plan. Okay, so he brought people over from Presbyterians from Scotland, the most fanatic Protestants, over and planted them in his lands, and that was the plan, to ethnically cleanse Ireland out of Catholics and bring in these good, proper Protestants, hard-working Protestants. Anyway,
so what
was the first step?
To assimilate Irish people in this majority?
To breed them, to outnumber them with Protestants. That was the original strategy, but that was abandoned. And we're talking about the separation. That brings us forward to the separation of the country between north and south. The 6 counties in the north of Ireland that were majority Protestants didn't want a united Ireland because their culture was based and connected to the United Kingdom. Their economy was closely related. Anyway, so and they held power in similar to now in the Parliament.
Yeah, but let's go back to 70s.
Okay, so the country was separated, and in the 1970s, the Catholics were living a similar situation to the blacks in America. They were second-class citizens, and they didn't get any jobs. All the jobs went to Protestants. So they had a civil rights movement, and from there, the modern IRA was created from this civil rights movement. And they decided to get violent. They weren't all about Martin Luther King. You know, he preached non-violent protests, but the IRA were not interested in non-violence.
So they started to blast some buildings in Britain.
In Britain, yeah. Well, the civil rights campaign turned violent, and the UK government sent the army to restore peace. And the Irish Catholics didn't like that at all, as you can imagine. So it was Brits out, and it was the Catholic community that were fighting against the soldiers and against the Protestants at the same time.
Okay, so
I grew up in that. I was born in 1972, so I grew up about 30 kilometers away from the border.
Border between Britain?
Between Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland.
Northern Ireland, okay, I see. Okay. So you were too young to participate in this.
Did you see little kids in the movie? There were
Yeah.
2 and 3 or 4 and 5 throwing rocks at the
Yeah,
cops.
yeah.
I went to Belfast when I was about 14, so that was 1986, 1985. And the streets had all checkpoints, military checkpoints with soldiers with machine guns, from going from one street to the other. It was crazy, and they checked you.
Mhm.
If they heard an accent, my Irish accent, they would stop me.
So
But I was fascinated by the guns. I'd never seen a machine gun before.
so that's why you lost your accent, right? And become an English teacher.
No. Has nothing to do with it. I only went to Belfast two or three times in my life.
I see. Well, okay, so we know a little bit about the beginning of the story. So let's like retell the story. Sergey, could you start, please?
Yeah, I'm trying. The story about Guildford 4th and Maguire 7th, and we saw the main characters, the father Conlon and his son Jerry Conlon. Jerry and his friend left the Ireland. They left Ireland, and during
they had to leave.
They have problem with government because they steal metal from the
roofs. They were stealing.
Yeah,
and they had trouble with the IRA, not with the government.
Yeah, and UK government sends the tanks and then the army and the participant of IRA era.
IRA, the members of the IRA.
The members of IRA told to father of Conlon that his son have to go outside the North Ireland.
Yeah, to leave. He had to leave. He had to leave Northern Ireland.
Yeah. Because they did not like him anymore, right? Because he was a theft.
He was a thief.
He was a thief, yeah, and they did not like him. And looks like they tried to make some like order and law.
Yeah, they were vigilantes. Hypocrites. Of course. Total hypocrites.
Okay. Vasanth, hello. Can you speak today?
Oh yes.
Because we don't see you. We don't see you.
Yes. I purposefully muted my, how to say that, hide, turn off
switched
camera.
I didn't mean to. Or I turned off my mic or my camera by mistake.
Yes.
Okay. So Vasanth, please, could you continue the story?
Yes, because the IRA forced him to go from that place because he caused trouble by stealing roofs, and in search of those thieves, the army people could have gotten their
weapons.
Right? Weapon. So they were afraid, and they warned his father that he almost exposed their weapons.
What were they going? What were the IRA going to do to Jerry and his friend?
They were trying to shoot.
Yeah, there's
something.
Yeah, there's a verb, to kneecap.
Oh no, kneecap
comes from the IRA, I think. Their vigilante justice was to kneecap people. To kneecap.
Cap. Okay.
Yeah, like to blow out your kneecap.
Well, I think it's painful, and you will it has consequences for the rest of your life, right?
I guess so. That's what. They were telling him, take down your pants, take down your trousers. There are two ways to do it. You can shoot through the muscle or shoot through the bone. One is more serious than the other. Okay, Vasanth, keep going.
Yes, and once he left the place, he met his friend who was aboard the same ship and
The same ferry.
same ferry. And they got few more friends. They look like a refugee. Are they refugees?
They were hippies.
Okay, hippies.
The people they met
Hmm.
in London.
Yes.
Yeah, it was
Yes.
a hippie commune.
Yeah, let's stay there for a bit because hippie it's not very it's not spread over the world, I guess. So I guess don't have hippies in Russia. Did not have.
You didn't have hippies, no? No. You missed out.
Missed out.
You
Okay.
missed out.
So let's talk about this phenomenon of hippies. What they are and what they do. Gerard, could you explain this?
I think that they are people who don't care much about the money. Like they like to live in houses that,
In peace and harmony.
yes, and houses that they are not used, old houses, and they are squatters.
They were squatters, yeah.
Squatters, and they like marijuana and love.
Yeah, free
Peaceful
love.
life. Free love and peaceful life without any troubles and
they live in small communities.
communes.
Commune, yeah, a commune.
Communes.
In a squat.
In a squad, okay.
And then they connect the electricity illegally.
So when was it popular and in which countries?
Squatting?
I mean,
Hippies.
Oh, the hippies. Hippies started in San Francisco in 1967, right? Flower Power. There's the name of two streets that it's supposed to, Haight Ashbury, the crossing of Haight and Ashbury was the beginning of the hippie movement. And you have heard of Woodstock, haven't you?
Mm-hmm.
Woodstock, the concert?
Mm-hmm.
That was like the apex of the hippie movement. The hippie movement was a reaction to the Vietnam War.
Yeah, but how it crossed the ocean to the Britain?
By TV images, obviously. But the main principles was peace and love and flowers, and they wore long hair. They had flowing clothes. So they took drugs. They took acid. That was an important part of the hippie movement. There was a professor, Timothy Leary, who said, "Tune in, turn on, and drop out." He was famous. He was a famous philosopher. He was a rich man, but he became a hippie, and he was an icon. You can check him out.
So if you're a hippie, you don't supposed to belong something, right? You just
it's a subculture.
Subculture, yeah. So nowadays we call those people downshifters, I guess.
Well, we have different names for them. Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister of England, called them crusties.
What does it mean?
Because the crusty comes from they don't wash their clothes or their hair. So the clothes, after a few months, the clothes become crusty, crispy. That's it. That's where it comes from. It's a great name for them because they never wash their hair either. The hair becomes crusty.
But why? I never understand that. Because how, peace and love, how it makes you not to wash anymore.
Well, no, you see, the hippie movement transformed into this type of crusty, the New Age travelers, which is a mixture between a gypsy, but they weren't born gypsies. They were born into normal families, but they wanted to live outside the system, outside society. So they joined with other people that had small dogs, and they sell jewelry, handmade jewelry. They don't wash their hair. They usually have a lot of tattoos and dreadlocks. They smoke weed. But it's a phenomenon. It's all over Europe. Right, Gerard? In Spain, there are lots of them.
Yes.
And they look the same in Ireland, and they smell the same. they're all into the same kind of thing. They even drink the same. They love cider and Buckfast wine.
And they have
vegetarians.
Their own music, right?
Yeah, kind of folk music, maybe with mixed with techno. They take a lot of drugs, you see.
Okay, so now we know who are key hippies, and we know that this guy, he now live in the hippie, both of them, they live in a hippie commune, right? Commune, and they're supposed to be peaceful creatures.
Peace, love, and rock and roll.
Peace, love, marijuana, and rock and roll.
That's it.
So why police took them? Sergey, do you remember?
There was a rat.
Yeah. Yes, and but I didn't remember all story, but I remember that two guys, Paul Hill and Jerry Conlon, steal 700 pounds from prostitute, and they make like what very strangely coat.
They both suits,
Yeah,
right?
it's a very
fur coat.
yeah, yeah, and the police before that they started to they prepared to sleep on the
Park bench.
on the park
Bench,
and bench. They met old homeless, and they have small conversation about something. And Jerry took 2 pounds to this Charlie, and after that they went to prostitute. And after this story, Jerry Conlon returned at Ireland, at home to Ireland, but I don't remember what it's happened with Paul Hill. But the police department in UK have problem with blasts in Guildford, in the other bar, and the government sends information that the police department could take somebody.
Could detain, could keep.
To
Yeah,
detain,
to
detain without
without a lawyer, right?
without a lawyer during the 7 days. That's strangely.
It's not only lawyer, you know, without, how we call it, without claiming something.
Yeah.
Without a call.
For checking, they take somebody's for checking. Maybe you will have problem with the law, but
so they have like 7 days to find something to charge you, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. During these 7 days, the police department pressed Paul Hill, and Paul Hill have been beaten. Paul Hill wrote was beaten. Paul Hill wrote paper with
a confession, a false confession.
That
is there,
yes, okay.
Is there any name for this false? Is there any name for this false confession? You know, when you blame someone to save yourself.
Blame.
Is there a name for when you blame someone else to save yourself?
Yeah. For this false confession, you know. So when someone the police, you know.
Well, there are colloquial to throw someone under the bus.
Yeah, good one. Yeah, throw someone
under the bus.
Super.
It's a colloquial way to say it. I can't think of any more. Give me some time. Yeah, well, you see, you're missing one fact. Do you remember the guy in the commune who didn't like the Irish guys?
Yeah. The one guy didn't like the two Irish people, and
he went to the cops.
Yeah, he told to cops, yes, they have a lot of money. Maybe they prepared some blaster in the bar, and after that, two friends started to have problem with the police department, I don't remember. Took
So
Jerry Conlan in Ireland.
In Ireland, yeah, out of bed.
so from this point of view, police, it's not like a pure devil, you know. They had some like evidences, let's call it, some
They had a lead. A
a
lead.
lead. Yes, they had a lead to detain them and to investigate, right? So that
And they had
was a-
special powers from the government.
Hmm.
and they had
7
special
days.
powers. Yeah, but something went wrong. Vasanth, please, could you continue with the story? Vasanth? We lost him, I guess.
Something unbelievable happened. What are you talking about? Giuseppe?
Well, I mean, let's continue with the story. So they are detained in police department, but we
Yeah.
lost Vasanth. I was going to ask him. So Gerard, please, could you continue?
So the police wanted to find a scapegoat
Yeah.
because the government wanted to blame somebody about this attack, terrorist attack. And they had the chance with this new law to pressure the suspects to confess. So actually the police forced the people to self-confess.
Yeah. Using mental torture and physical torture.
Yes. And the guy Jim, the guy who didn't like Jerry and Paul, was the one who blamed them.
Yeah, he informed them. He told on them. Squeeled. He was a rat. He started it, yes, that guy started it, and then Paul Hill gave Jerry's name under pressure.
Yes, and so they were in prison.
What
And
was the moment?
Jerry claimed that he'll talk with a man in the park.
Yeah,
But
Charlie.
Charlie, but the police officer, I don't know what's the name of this guy, was in charge of the police officer.
What's his name?
Yeah, there was two guys.
There
One
was one, the main one,
The main guy.
He didn't know eventually soon enough that they weren't guilty about that, but
They were
didn't
innocent, and he
They were
did
innocent.
nothing.
He didn't care.
Yeah. So let's go to the charge. So they confessed, right? Because of
After 7 days of torture,
Yeah.
maybe not torture, but severely heavy questioning. And there was one moment. What was the last moment? What was the straw that broke the camel's back?
I think threatened to
Yeah.
kill Giuseppe.
He threatened the bald cop threatened to kill his father.
But Bold Cop was an Irish guy, right?
He was an Irish guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So
But
that was a kind of a subplot that you
It was.
understand them, you like one of them. So find a way to make them confess.
And he found a way.
Yeah.
But if you remember, he felt very guilty when he
Yeah.
found out that they were innocent.
Well, yeah, it's a surprise. Vasanth, are you back or not? Okay, when you're back, please write something in the chat if you can hear us. Okay, so they confessed, and we have this tribunal.
A trial.
A trial.
Show
And-
trial. Kangaroo court.
Kangaroo.
No, not exactly a kangaroo court. I'm exaggerating, but a kangaroo court is set up, and the verdict
But
has already
But
been decided.
we can see from the very beginning that this court, it was very slanted, very biased towards them, right? So they probably did not have a chance to get some justice, you know. So you get there, you take your condemns, you get
Sentence.
condemned, you get your sentence, you get condemned. So and was it how we call this jurors court?
Yeah, it was a judge and jury.
Judge and
Judge
jury.
and jury. The jury convicted based on the evidence.
But jury obviously you're, you know, English men, right?
All English men, yes.
All Englishmen. So for them it wasn't a question, right? So they don't need any, you know, evidences or something. There is a confession, okay. They are
Yeah,
guilty.
and they locked up the children too.
Yeah.
I know the key of the trial was that police is honest, and those guys are not honest. So the jury believed that the police was right.
Well, it's a very sad movie because nothing is changing in our world. We still have kind of this system, So every time when you are in a trial, they ask you why a police officer, will
So
will
honest
lie.
Always.
So honest, yes.
Would lie.
Yeah, would lie. So he or she, they have no reasons for that. So it's your fault. We still have.
Their only crime was being Irish.
Mm.
That's what the woman said at the lawyer said at the end. It was a good scene too.
Yeah.
Court.
Yeah. Okay, and I remember that judge said, "I'm upset that it's not that kind of something, not this type of charge that I can sentence you to
Hang you.
Yeah, to hang you if it had been treason."
Yeah,
I'm
treason.
wondering why this is not treason, he said, which carries with it a sentence of the death sentence, which I would have no problem in passing in this case.
Yeah, but how father got there?
The father and all the family were convicted because of traces of nitroglycerin on their fingers, and apparently
it was fake, right?
It was the results were skewed, were twisted.
Twisted, okay.
To skew a result as SKE.
Okay, so they their sentence, it was like 15 years in prison or something.
Well, Jerry got 30.
30? Nice one, yeah. Okay, Sergey, can you tell us about the life in the prison, their life in the prison?
Life in prison.
I read about this story in real, and in movie they improved story for making dramatic, and the son of the and father didn't live together, but in movie we saw that they lived together, and Jerry very fast met some new friends during the other Irish person.
Yeah, and Jamaican. The Irish and the
Jamaican.
Jamaicans.
Yeah, and they started to take drugs like a puzzle. It's in interesting movie, interesting moment.
Yeah.
And
the whole puzzle
was dipped in acid.
Dipped in acid, yeah. So and no one could find why people always high, right?
Check out Ronnie, man. Him swallow half Africa. I like the Jamaican guy. The Jamaican guy was good. Hey,
okay,
Jerry, man.
Please continue.
Yes, and we saw that Jerry's father lost his health during this year in prison, and
but Sergey, I'm sorry. It seems to me that he was always like unhealthy, right? We can hear that from dialogues they had. So his father had a bad health, always sick of something, maybe because of his job or something. But I didn't get it.
Yeah, that came out at the end because he worked in a paint factory or something.
Yeah. So, and his health in prison, obviously, for
deteriorated.
Deteriorated.
But yes, I saw this movie, and I don't. Some big problem with the prisoners. They have maybe good convenience for living, and they good dinner. And but unfortunately, I didn't. I have been in the prison, in Russian prison, but I watched a lot of video about the Russian prison. And, I have the bad place for living, and you could very fast lose your health.
But we can speak a bit about this. I think it's not only about Russian prisons. They are obviously nothing at all.
Arabic.
But I mean that it's very, this prison in the movies, it looks pretty good, I would say.
It looks pretty
Yeah.
decent, yeah.
Yeah,
And the
they
guards
have,
aren't cruel.
Yeah, compared to even American movies,
American
compared
prisons.
to, to American prisons. Yeah. So
They are nightmares.
of course, it's a torture to be in a prison for everyone. Unless they didn't
but
do anything.
but
yeah.
but I compare the prisons based only video and movie, and this movie, and I notice some interesting moments that relationships between guards and prisoners very good, very
Yeah, they are friendly. They are friendly, I would say.
yeah, they're friendly, and they have some conversations in the prisons. It's abnormal for American movies, for Russian movies, but because it's not friendly.
I think doing time in Spain would be okay. Doing time in Spain is nothing like doing time in the United States or in Russia. I mean, prisoners are treated well.
On Thailand.
Prisoners are in Spain.
No, how Thailand?
Thailand.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thailand.
Thailand. Jesus, no
They
way.
catch you with a grain of cocaine.
They plant it on you.
Yeah.
Plant the cocaine on you and then say, pay me or you're going to prison. What about the prisons in Brazil where you can have your family can come and stay with you?
Yeah, I watched a video on YouTube. It's like a city of prisoners.
Yeah, and they run their own prison.
Yeah.
The prisoners.
Hello, Vasanth. I see you back. Yeah,
Welcome back, Vasanth.
Yeah, we're speaking about this prison time and their conditions, what they had. This friendly guards.
Rapport, maybe rapport between the guards and the prisoners. Rapport, or APPORT. Vasanth, I can't imagine prisons in India are very nice places.
No, definitely not. Because considering the population also, we have very tiny cells in a prison, and prisons are supposed to be meant to be a solitary confinement, right? But we put more than one person in such small cells. And yes, especially it happened during the pre-independence protests. The British people built a huge prison in Andaman Nicobar Island. They sent all the protesters, freedom fighters there and pushed more than 2-3 people in a single cell, which has only a space for one person. So it still continues. So we have the mindset that we can put more than one people in a single cell. So the prison, overcrowded.
The jails are overcrowded.
Yeah.
Right. But I think overcrowded is terrible, of course, and all these conditions could be terrible. But I think the main idea is important. For instance, in Russia, the prison it's a place for humiliation. You could not expect anything good or even neutral here. Everything will be pointed to make your life worse. So it's just a mindset of the whole system. So and the same in Asia, I guess, in Thailand or something. So that's why this prison, like UK prison, what it was, Britain prison, I don't know.
British prisons.
British prison in the movie, I guess. I guess it's not a real picture. I guess.
No, I have seen it. I have not been in jail, but I've seen many portrayals in movies and series, and that seems to be the way.
Well, so in this case, it doesn't look that terrible,
And that was a maximum security. That was the maximum security prison. So you can imagine the other prisons would be even more lenient.
Lenient, yeah.
Nice. The worst prisons are probably the juvenile detention centers in the UK. They're mad bastards. Those teenagers.
Yeah, teenagers always make things worse. Without limits. Vasanth, please.
Yes, recently I read a book that was written by a person who was falsely convicted and put into jail, and he saw people, the prisoners using cigarettes, which is prohibited inside the prison, but they still use prison, and it's like every cigarette is like a money inside the prison, so they can exchange anything for the cigarette, because without cigarette the prison would go crazy and they would start a riot inside the prison if you seize all the cigarettes from the prisoners. That was astonishing fact I read in recent time.
Yeah.
So
So,
you
but-
can't
but-
smoke anymore. Is that what you said? You can't smoke?
Yes, officially nobody can smoke. No drugs are allowed inside. But even the cops know that prisoners are using the cigarettes. But
Yeah,
they
because-
can't do anything. If they seize the cigarette out, they will protest. They will
There
not
would
eat
be a
anything.
riot, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Speaking of riot, we had one in the movie. Vasanth, could you please continue with this?
Good timing.
life in
Ivan.
prison.
Yeah. Yes. Is that Joe? Right. The real
Joe,
culprit.
yes,
Yes,
played by Don Baker, who was a famous, well, not famous, Irish musician, a blues harmonica
Oh.
player.
Oh,
I've met him a few times, Don Baker.
Wow.
The guy, yeah. I told him you played a great role in that movie. In the name of Father, you were a badass. Go on,
Yes,
sorry,
yes.
Vasanth.
Yes, he was really a badass, right? He kept the poker face. We could not see much expression from his face. He is always so calm, because he was a big time. How to say that?
Dead
Big
eye
time-
killer.
Yes, the killer. And he used some signals, gestures to communicate with the other prisoners. So whenever he does something, the prisoner would understand and they would cheer back. Then they started a riot by using a lot of clothes, the curtains
What?
offered to them.
How did he win over the boss of the prison? The big fat prisoner who was the boss of the prison.
Yes,
you remember?
During the riot, he was the one who beat him badly and ordered to stop the riot by force. So he was watching him. How to say that? He had an eye on that person.
Yeah, he kept an eye on him.
Yeah, he kept an eye on
No,
him.
but
and-
before that, you know, he went to talk to that guy Ronnie on his own. Well, with Jerry, and he said 55 Oak Reel Road or something like that. He said an address.
yes.
You remember that? And he went in and said, if you touch any Irish prisoner again, this house is going to be blown up with all your family in it.
Yes.
And he said, you threatened me. He said, no, I don't make threats. I carry out orders. You remember that part?
Yes.
And he
Yes.
said, hey, Paddy's all right. Paddy's all right. It was a cool part.
Yeah.
Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah,
You're back into the riot. The riot was after that.
Yes. Yeah. And after the riot, Joe avenged the police officer, right? Took a
Yeah,
revenge.
he took revenge.
Okay, he took revenge. So what is the difference between avenge and revenge? How can we use
Excuse me?
the revenge and avenge? The usage of both words.
Yeah, you could say he avenged the riot. He avenged himself on. He got revenge. He got his own back. In vernacular, in normal English, he got even. To get even.
Do you remember this white powder they used to make white men's like? It was something, some medicine, I guess, against lice or something.
Oh yeah, the lysing powder.
Lysine powder, yeah. Well, yeah, they looked crazy during this riot, I guess. And I expected that, police force will prevent this immediately, like on next minute. But it was a bit But
Now, the
the
first
police-
order was get the guards out of there.
Yeah,
First order. Do you remember?
yeah. And it was strange. I expected an order, you know, like put them to the carcer or something. Move, make some order. Okay, so
But
where,
then the riot squad came in.
yeah.
Riot police.
And this riot police, they did not look like, you know, modern riot police. Now it's different thing, right? Now
It has
people are-
changed
changed a
since
lot. I would say.
1984, 1985. They got out in 1989. So the prison riot was probably about 6 or 7 years before that, 1982, 3.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't look that violent. It was violent, but I expected more, as always. I always expecting more violence in prisons.
Being Russian.
Okay, speaking of Russians, Sergey, please, could you continue the story? So after riot, what happened?
After, I'm sorry,
this-
and
This
After the riot.
uprising in the movie, you know, when
conflict with bodyguard, with prison guard.
With the prison guard, yeah.
Yep.
During the movie.
I'm sorry, but maybe I didn't understand your whole discussion. If I understand it correctly, the new Irish guy, the blame with the fire, the old boss of prison's guard, and after that,
He set him on fire.
yeah, set him fire. Yes. After that, he was removed to other prison.
Transferred.
And, yeah, and Jerry understood that that he was bad, and he stopped to have respect for him.
He stopped
And,
having respect.
Stopped
Yeah,
having
but-
respect, and
this guy admitted about the crime, right? He said, "I did this."
He confessed to all the crimes.
Confessed all the crimes to the police as well, right?
To the police, yeah, definitely, and to Giuseppe.
Yeah, to Giuseppe. So now they understood that they are totally for nothing, and police knows this. Right?
Yeah, and they knew that the system was completely corrupt.
Yeah. Sorry, Sergey. It was just important.
yeah, and during this moment, and I remember about a new character from Ireland, and that he organized the blast in bars, but a lot of people knows about it, and he fired the prisoner guards, but he didn't kill the UK government, but they have an opportunity to kill them. But it's strangely for me.
Sorry,
Yes,
Sergey. I didn't.
we don't talk about the human right. We talked about the compare with the Guildford Force and this guy. This guy is true criminal. This true leader of IRA, but this guy is the small younger guys who steal 700 pounds. It's all. They smoke marijuana. What it's strangely for me, and you compare, and the police department knows about it. They know about him. They know about Guildford 4. They wrote special paper. Don't watch. Don't see to advocate.
Don't show this to defense.
Yeah. Don't show to the advocate. But they know about it.
They knew, right? But they
didn't want to look bad.
Yeah. They have own like reasons, own goals.
Yeah,
Yes.
they could have gone to prison.
Yeah.
See, it's illegal to force a confession.
Yes,
please.
yeah, even if they accept that they falsely accused Jerry, and the entire perspective of this England citizen on the police department would change completely different, because they would start suspect, even though they arrest a real culprit in future incidents, they would suspect that they are fabricating something. So the reputation would gone forever for just in a single case. So that's why I think they hide it.
Yeah, you know, there is an experiment. It's well documented, but I forgot its name. It's something like psycho experiment. So they ask you, you know, you will get whatever you want, like money or career or something, but you have to click this button, and one guy who you don't know will die in China, you know. So and people click this button, you know, without thinking. So it's how human nature works, you know. So this guy, for police department to admit their mistake, what does it mean? So you will lose something, but what you will get? Nothing. One Irish guy will go to the
street, will be released.
Will be released. Yeah. So what does it mean for me?
Yeah, that's nothing. Against the total reputation, the good reputation of the British police force.
Yeah. And you will have to get him from the street to the prison again and find evidences again. So just you know, future work, you know, for us.
Sergey?
Yes, and 15 minutes ago we discussed about the friendly relationships between the prisoners and the prison guard, and the friendly relationships and the very soft rules couldn't provide this case. Then the Irish guy while killed this prisoner guard. That's why in U.S. Prison and the Russian prison, the relationships between prisoners and the guard were very hard.
Well, I understand what you're talking about, but I don't know the right answer. You know, it's always compromise. You make soft rules.
Yes, I know about the compromise, but we have the special levels of prison for the bad criminal, for the maniac, for the serial killer, for second level, the middle level, and the low level for the young boy, for the people who have crashed in the car. It's
but Sergey, Terry mentioned this. So the movie, what we see in the movie, this prison, it was the strongest level.
Maximum security.
Maximum security, the harsh one.
It not looks like maximum security. It's for understandable, not understandable for me how this one prisoner guard walking among the.
Sergey, but it happens everywhere. It happens in America. It happens in Russia. You know, it doesn't seem related. You know, so
maybe,
if one guy want to kill another guy badly, he can do it, right? He can find a way. You know?
Even if it's a prison guard.
Even if it's so you know, it's all about compromise. But I don't know. You know, relationship between human and all the social institutes, they are very hard always.
Yes, I agree. But we have the problem after that.
Yeah, we have a problem actually. Yeah, I think everyone have problem with the prison. Why people cannot be just good? You know, they don't make any crime.
Yeah, well, the justice system is outdated and broken too. The justice system needs to be, restructured, modernized.
Well, I understand what you're talking about, but I have, different feelings depend on the day, right? Sometimes I think it must be worse. Sometimes I think it must be reformed in any ways, but I don't know a good way.
I don't think you should be put in prison for victimless crime.
Like economical crime or something?
No, I don't think you should go to jail for that. All the banking system is based on corruption, stealing money.
So,
I mean, I'm talking about you should go to jail if you murder someone, okay, or if you stab someone, if you rape someone. If you rip off a family and they end up in the street, okay, that's a victim. That's a crime.
But how you draw the line? It's that's the problem.
With a computer, algorithms.
Okay.
They don't lie, and they cannot be corrupted.
Well, I would agree with that to some part, but people get crazy about China's system of social rating. Do you know about the system?
No,
Yeah.
I haven't heard of it.
Oh, okay. So, but it's the same idea, you have some social credit, you make bad things, you have minus something, some points.
It's like penalty points on your license.
Yes, but you have it for life.
Like a Black Mirror.
Yeah, it's Black Mirror, but it does exist already, So, and there is a funny story. Did I tell you this funny story? On the bus, on the Chinese bus, there were advertisements with the face of the lady, of Chinese lady, and she lost all her points because she was crossing the road, in an appropriate place. Cameras got her face on a bus, but didn't understand that it's a bus, and she lost the whole points, because she's a crime now. Do you understand what I'm talking about? No?
I know what you mean. Okay.
So if you cross the road, without traffic lights, you get penalty. But her face, it was recognized by cameras, and it was on the buses everywhere. So she crossed the line every day in many directions.
She was an actress, a model.
Yeah, she was a model, yeah. And she lost all the social rating because of that. And they had to make amendment to the system because of her.
It looked like anti-utopia of
it's a new reality.
Of Orwell,
Yeah.
but it's bad. It's a bad way, I think.
But I like this way, and and Terry likes this way. I know that this way is not flawless, but it still looks better to me than some guy decided.
Not you didn't understand me about when I talked about the relationships, and I talked about the causes of this problem. But I understand that we will have the relationships between prisoners of the guard, we will have corruption, we will have something, but this way of China is a bad way. I can't imagine. How I will live inside this system with the face identified.
Okay, let's make the next class about this.
I hate it very.
Okay. We have an opponent, we have a proponent. So let's make next class about this. China rating social system. A TED talk. I will find one.
All right.
I like
challenge accepted.
Hot debates. So be prepared. Okay, let's finish the story.
Gerard, what happens at the end?
Help us.
So there is a lawyer's woman, Pierce. Her name is Pierce, who wants to.
She appears because of the right? Because of the new system, new investigations, right? So it was an important point. Yeah.
She wants to help the Conlons, and Jerry is suspicious about her intentions. He doesn't trust her at the beginning, but then he realizes that she wants really help them, and she went to the archive of the police office, of the police, and there is a guy that gives the documents, but this guy doesn't give her the whole document because Dixon
was the guy's name. Dixon
keeps some information from her. But one day, the guy that usually is working archive is ill. Another guy who doesn't know about that gives to the Pierce some documents that are very interesting with new information that can exonerate the Conlons. So this information is very important because, for instance, there is the one that says that Charlie Dixon, the police had an interview with Charlie, and Charlie said that Jerry was with him. So
the alibi.
So they knew from the beginning that they were innocent.
Yeah.
They didn't have qualms to put in prison for many years. 7 people.
Yeah.
And there was a trial when the judge realized that proofs were true. The judge dismissed the case, but the police weren't accused.
No, they weren't convicted of anything.
So.
Yeah, and this last trial was kind of interesting as well. Do you remember that one guy? What's the name of this guy? Barrister.
Barrister.
Barrister. Yeah, one barrister asked a judge, can I come in to you?
Can I approach the bench?
Approach the bench, yeah. And what did they talk about? What do you think?
He said, well, we don't know what they spoke about.
Yeah, but what do you think?
What do I think? I think this, my lord, this will crumble the government, and this could collapse the British legal system if you continue to hear any more evidence.
Exactly.
So,
and what do we do? What do we do in Russia in this case? We have closed trial system when no one is accepted to the trial, so it's just closed court. People decide something, then you see the sentence. That's all. So another black stain on Russian justice. Yeah. So and they decided not to stain British justice, right? Just let them go. Right?
Let them go. Give them a mercy. A mercy release, or something like that. I know they Conlon and Hale sued the British justice system for I don't know, a couple of million.
Yeah, but did the system change after this? Have it changed?
Has it changed? Well, I think they still have 7 days to interrogate terrorists.
Terrorists? Yeah, but everyone can be terrorist, right?
Anyone can be a terrorist. So therefore, anyone could be picked up by the police and questioned for 7 days for anything. What about that Brazilian guy they shot? Do you remember they shot a Brazilian electrician in the underground?
Yeah. It's it was a few years ago.
A few years ago, they something related to the bombings in London. They shot some innocent guy. But there's a big conspiracy behind that because they think he was involved in helping them, in doing some covering up the events on that day.
Well, I don't think we have this thing about 7 days in Russia, but we have like 24 hours or something, and these hours can be renewed if they found a new evidence or something. So
a new piece of evidence.
Yeah, it's the same shit. They just have to find. They just have to put new record every day. You will there forever, I would say. Yeah. Yes, really?
I think no. Maybe we have the 48 hours without confusion.
Without charging you, but they can prolong it with the judge.
You could change prolong with the judge. I think.
Yeah.
You have special paper from the
procedure,
judgment.
Yeah, but it's kind of we cannot say that it's hard. so officially there is no such thing.
Yeah.
But it exists. As always, it's always a system of vices, I guess. Okay, so what is the moral of the movie? Let's answer this one. If you finished with the story. We forgot the main line, like it's the name of the father. What
that was at the end, right?
Yeah.
And Jerry, I saw that speech live too.
It was live?
It was live, yes. I just got out of school and I went to a bar to watch, and I watched that speech, Jerry Conlon.
But I think it's a good story that it was live, that it has like a lot of that people knew about this. I think it's good because every country has such stories, I believe, many of them. So, but not not many of them like got famous or something. So it tells me that this system not that bad. That's what I think, really.
Yeah, the British justice system. Well, they pride themselves on having the most civilized justice system in the world. Don't forget that.
Yeah, but we know the story, right? The history. So we know many things about this.
We do. And Jerry got out, and it was an emotional moment at the end where he said, I'm going to keep fighting in the name of my father.
Yeah. And he did? Did he?
Yeah, I think so. But I know Paul Hill ended up marrying one of the Kennedy family
Yeah.
from the United States.
Yeah.
A very unlucky family.
You know, this movie is interesting to me because just a few weeks ago in Russia we had like similar story, not exactly this, but similar story. So they called one guy who was a reporter, a journalist, and he wrote against government all the time. Yeah. So they caught him and found some drugs with him. You know, usual story.
They planted drugs on him.
Planted, yeah. And he was going to jail, obviously, for everyone. But people started some demonstration and asked for justice, and they let him go. So it wasn't what I expected. In Russia, it usually goes another way, but they let him go. And we expected that he will be like, you know, in the name of the Father, that he will make like future deals according to that. He will be an icon for this movement or something. But what he said, it's not my war. I'm released.
I'm out of here.
Yeah, I'm out here.
Fuck you and your war. I'm out of here.
And I'm contented now and will not do anything. So it was the difference in the story. So it's speaking about moral, you know. So some people they got strengths in there was a saying, when life gives you a lemon, yeah, make a good lemonade of it.
Make lemonade.
Make lemonade, yeah.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah, exactly. Vasanth, what do you think? What is the moral of the story?
Yes. Don't lose hope.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Don't lose hope. Okay, good one.
Yeah.
Don't go to London and hang out with hippies. It's the moral of the story.
Sergey, can you think about any moral in this movie?
You talked about the example in Russian, but this movie showed me the similar story in Russia during the 1930s, when we have a lot of similar problem, when you could have problem if your concurrent wrote the special paper to the police department. It's a bad guy who told bad words about Stalin. Yes, and you could have 10 years very simply, very fast, 3 days. You put pressure in the police department, and you will have 10 years of prison. I can't imagine of the feeling these people in a movie about Irish wars, about Russian story, about other people who don't make the criminals, but he was put in the prison.
Yeah, who was punished for nothing?
Understand? Yeah,
you started to understand. Please.
That you will provide, you will spend 10, 20, or 30 years in the prison. It's very scary.
Yes, it's scary. I understand. But what is the moral? Don't get to prison or what?
It's a moral for me. And we have the Russian small short story. Don't think about
a saying, paraphrase, saying.
Paraphrase it. You will have problem with the prison, and you may have problem with the prison, and you may have problem with money.
Well, I would rephrase it from Russian. I know it's hard to translate, but it's kind of a joke about our system. So we say, never think that you will ever escape the prison, you know, so that it will never happen to you. Be prepared just in case, you know. It's hard to
prison and something else.
Prison and poverty.
Prison and poverty. I've heard it. Yeah, I've heard this refrain or saying.
Yeah, but it came from classical literature. I don't forget exactly what, but it's old one. You know, it's not like modern era or Soviet era. It's old one from Tsar era in Russia. So, really old one.
And one point about this movie, During last 20 years, I didn't heard about era, about blast in UK. But when I started to watch this movie, I remembered my childhood and I remember my younghood when I saw the news about Ulster, about era, about wars, about Irish, and I remember the very famous song of Cranberries about zombie. It's but I don't know why I lost. I forgot about it, and I don't
it's
remember.
focus, you know, it's focus and media, you know, focus and media. So nowadays we hear about this, and in a few years ago what it was, you know, we just
it was a big deal.
Yes, and it's a very interesting case for me because I don't understand that. I could to open my my memories about this.
Yeah. So you have
it brought back memories.
Yeah, brought back. Yeah. Okay, Gerard, what do you think? Is there any more?
Another moral. The British justice system is not as fair or as nice as they presume to be.
Okay. And it leads us to our first questions that we have on our Padlet. You know, it's a nice segue. So, and it is: can your country's policemen fabricate false accusation on any individual easily? Vasanth, what do you think?
Yes, definitely, especially in terrorism act and marijuana, drugs. Actually, nobody can get a bail or a parole for such cases. The police can investigate or take you in custody for a couple of weeks without any reason, just in the name of terrorist act, marijuana usage of drugs.
We have a saying in Russia, you know, that if you allow, it's very hard to translate as always. So, but if you allow be scared, you will never get your freedom. Something like this. So if you allow,
you can never be free if you are scared.
Yeah, something like this. So if you allow to police like detain everyone in sake of freedom, it means you lost your freedom.
For the sake of freedom.
For the sake of freedom, yeah.
Yeah. In answer to the question, in Ireland, the police can't fabricate accusations against people. It's not easy.
It's good. I guess it's not easy in Russia, but it's happened many times. I guess we don't. Well, our policemen, they probably many of them are good people, but they work for the bad system. my impression. So
you'd have to frame police. It would be difficult for one policeman to frame a person because they would need the support of all the police in their department.
It's a good point. I think it's kind of the same in Russia. You know, for one policeman to accuse you, it's a big job. But if it has like some support of his colleagues or government or something, because they don't like you for any reason, you know, you are Irish or something, so it will be easy then.
Yeah, possibly. But in my experience, they couldn't put in jail a lot of the IRA terrorists. They just couldn't. They didn't have enough evidence, or they didn't have any witnesses. Nobody would talk.
Well, speaking about this IRA thing, you know, did they like approach their goals or not? What do you think?
They did and they didn't. Yes, but their main objective was a united Ireland. Which they will never get that. No, that won't happen. But they got rule. They share the rule of the province. Mm-hmm. So ex-terrorists like Gerry Adams and Martin McGuinness became politicians and became celebrities.
I see.
I remember there was a law. Listen to this. There was a law in the 80s, anti-terrorist law, that the BBC could not show the words of any of the terrorist leaders or of any of the Sinn Féin. That was Gerry Adams. So when Jerry Adams was talking, they had to use an actor's voice. It was a strange. You should check it out. It was Margaret Thatcher.
Wow. Gerard, what do you think about your police?
I think it would be difficult to fabricate false accusations nowadays.
Yeah.
It would be easier to falsely accuse a policeman, probably.
Maybe, yes. I think the laws are too lenient with bad people, with criminals.
I noticed a difference between Spain and Ireland. In Spain, people don't assault other people because they know they will be punished. They know they will lose money. So that's why I think in Spain, people are more reluctant to start a fight, a physical fight with someone. They'll shout, but they won't assault.
Oh, yes, that's some problem, yes.
That's great, I think. It's brilliant.
So yeah, do we have this
ahead.
problem in Russia? Do we have fights in Russia easily? Or we just prefer to shout aloud?
Fights with policemen?
No, not with policemen. But how to explain? So it's like a big crime, right? When you have a fight, you will be punished. What do you think? Or probably not in Russia.
I'm scared.
If you attack someone,
if you attack someone, you walk up to someone in a bar, and punch them, and knock them out.
Yeah. But I think I thought about it. But you have the other situation, a different situation when you are walking with your children, with your wife. You must support. You must cover them. And you must fight with a criminal. But if you have the problem in the bar, but I have to think about next
step.
The next step, because if I may beaten them, him, and I could have problem in the future with the police department, and this not compare this my emotional action from my next
so it's on the spur of the moment, you can beat someone in the bar and there will be consequences for years maybe.
Yes, it's a stupid actions when you drink something.
Yeah. So I don't think that these street fights are very common in Russia. We have very few, I guess.
Brilliant.
But now we rarely notice it, the common action in.
No, it's almost impossible. I see like one in 1 year, so it's and it's because I'm too drunk and in the bar and I'm inside this fight, so that's all.
Yeah, and I thought one thing that we have in Russia, in Ireland, and UK, and the Spain, in the India, we have special district with the problem district. This Barcelona, this North Ireland, the Caucasus, and this Kashmir, and this person from this region were very hardly, because they stay
very tough
together.
They're very tough. They're hard people.
Yeah, and in Russia we saw with this small scare to the Caucasus person, because they have the brother of brother,
so in the eyes of whole world, Russians are kind of tough. But in Russian eyes, we are not tough, we're soft. So tough guys, they are from
Dagestan.
Yeah, Dagestan.
Yeah, Dagestan.
Okay, let's go. Let's make some slides. We are late by time. So, what is the flag? Is it Ireland?
The tricolor.
Tricolor, yeah. We have tricolor as well.
Green for Ireland, white is for peace, and the orange is for the Protestants. The Orange Men, yes, in the north of Ireland.
Wow, I didn't know this.
Yep. You know the orange men who came from Holland and went to populate South Africa.
Okay. Gerard, please start with this one.
We can see the scene from the beginning when there is a riot provoked by Jerry, because Jerry was with a stick and British soldiers thought he was a sniper.
Mm-hmm.
And they went after him, but people protected him, made noise and throw rocks and everything to the British Army. Okay, we can see that. How do you call these vehicles? Armored vehicles?
Armored cars and tanks and guns came to take away our sons. And every man must stand behind the man behind the wire. Yeah, I know loads of rebel songs. Look at the IRA warning on the building.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Warning.
The IRA were angry at Jerry because they had weapons and they attracted the soldiers, the British soldiers. The attention, so
yeah.
they didn't like
so
that.
What do you think about these buildings? As a typical
poor
These
building.
are council houses.
Council houses, okay.
Yeah, built by the local authorities.
Do you remember at the beginning of the movie, everyone used this, I don't know, what's the name for this?
Dustbin lids.
What
like
they do?
a cacerolada in Barcelona, where people hang out the windows with their pots. Bam, 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 bam. Very similar to Barcelona. I saw it in Barcelona before the invasion of Iraq. I was only in Barcelona a few days, and at 10 o'clock every night, the city stopped. Everybody beeped their horns and banged their pots. I thought it was a Spanish tradition or something. I didn't know. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know why.
So, but in the movie, it was like a sign, like
it was a warning. Yeah, the Brits are coming.
Yeah,
look at the sign. Look, IRA warning. Touting can seriously, I suppose it would be, damage your health. That is informing.
What is touting?
Touting is telling the police information.
Ah,
informing.
Okay.
IRA warning.
And what is red there? Or what is this? On the another building.
Reds are just the guy's nickname.
Okay. And a lot of people on the roof, right?
Yeah.
Well, but why they steal this metal for what?
To sell to scrap yards.
Well,
it was lead probably. Lead is expensive.
But they do this because economics is bad. They cannot find
can't
jobs.
Get a job, no.
Okay, so it was like for surviving, right? Okay. Anything else? Any questions? No. Let's go. Another one. Sergey, please describe this one. Actually, I forgot what it is.
This is the ferry.
There is a ship. There is a port crane, and 2 containers. Some wheels. I don't know, windy wheels.
Yeah, what is the wheel?
Railways and a lot of stairs. This is a typical ships for moving containers.
How we call them?
A container ship.
Container ship, yeah. It's a logical.
So it's not a ferry, right? Or ferry?
No, it's not a ferry. No, it's for, as Sergey is saying, it's for shipping.
Yeah. And it has a name, line.
It's not name. I think this is a type of line. The CMA line, some Maersk line, I think.
Okay. Okay. So what?
Maybe
is this?
I'm wrong, but
I don't know. I'm not a docker. I was. I almost have never been in any ports. So what is this circle thing? What is it?
Yes, I know. This is a special device who measure the windy heart. How many meters in the second? Because if you will have problem with the windy, you have to stop to moving containers.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, nice one. But it's kind of big. I didn't expect this.
Very old
Okay.
type, maybe.
Maybe. So they reconstructed that period, right?
I guess so.
Okay, anything special? We move forward. Okay, let's move. But I just remember that Sergey is an expert in this ships because he moving some cargo over the world, right, Sergey?
Yeah, it's correct.
Okay. Okay. Vasanth, it's for you.
This is Jerry's aunt's house. Jerry and his friends are having meals.
What? What are they having?
Sausages.
Maybe
Yeah, sausages, Irish sausages.
Oh, okay.
Yum.
Terry, tell us what is special about Irish sausages.
I don't know. Just the manufacturing process, the production process. I don't know. Maybe it's the spices they add. Who knows?
Okay. So I have to visit some Irish bar to taste them. Yeah?
Irish sausages are delicious.
I have one in my neighborhood. It's called O'Hara.
O'Hara.
Yeah.
It's the brand name of the sausage.
It's a bar, Irish bar.
Oh, okay. Well.
In St. Petersburg, we have the bar Oh Hooligans.
Hooligans.
Yeah.
It's a good name. I like it.
Yeah.
Are you sure it's not Oh Hula Hands? Oh, hooligan.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And we can see the plates and coffee cups on the table and a jug. What do we call the
Teapot.
The jug? Okay, teapot.
What, the jacket for the teapot. There's a teapot warmer.
In Spain, they have this jacket for wine, right?
Yeah, that's to keep it cool.
Keep it cool, yeah. Different like ways.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can see lamps behind the aunt and curtains. No, it's just a picture hanging on the wall. It could be customized wall clock, but I couldn't see any hands inside. So it's just a picture.
She had some pictures of the royal family.
Yeah.
Don't you remember?
Yeah. Because of what? Because she just likes them, right?
She's an Irish Catholic, so she shouldn't like the royal family. But my mother does too. It's the pomp and ceremony, the big dresses and all the money.
But this lady out, she was very strict to them, right? Give me your address.
Yeah, a typical Irish mother. Aren't.
So it's women, Irish women, they're supposed to be strict, right?
Very strict and strong, and most families are matriarchal. The women do everything, like in Spain. I think, like everywhere, right?
Yeah, like in Russia as well.
Yeah, okay. We're not kidding ourselves. The women rule the roost at home. Yeah, so she's a typical. These guys had just said that they were vegetarians. Yeah, we're vegetarians too. They go to their aunts for a plate of sausages.
But it was for the sake of love, you know. So.
Yeah, he just wanted. Yeah, he wanted to get his leg over. We say.
Leg over. Okay. Okay, let's move over. So they have just bread and sausages. Am I right?
Toast, sausages, and tea, and maybe some bacon, and maybe a fried egg or two.
Okay, nice one.
That reminds me of my story about it being in Philadelphia, and the waitress asked me, "How do you like your eggs, sir?" And I said, "Beside 2 sausages and a big slice of bacon." How do you like your eggs? On a big plate beside 2 sausages. She meant how I liked how I liked them cooked.
Okay.
But I didn't know there were different ways to cook an egg. All right.
Okay, Gerard, what is on the picture?
I think it's the scene in the park with Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
So they were in the park, Paul and Jerry, they were in the park when the bomb blow up.
Yeah, went off.
Went off.
Bomb went off.
In view
Go
four.
off.
So Charlie was his alibi. Their alibi.
Yep.
But the police distantly hide that from the attorney. How do you call the lawyer that defends people?
The defense solicitor.
Defense solicitor. Okay.
Well,
So
she was actually a barrister because. Go ahead.
Is attorney American word?
Attorney and lawyer are American words.
Okay.
And it was his bench, right? Charlie bench, because he has his initials.
Carved into the.
Carved in, yeah.
And he
So
was
funny,
another Paddy. He was another Irishman.
So why Paddy? What does it mean?
Paddy is the nickname for Irish people.
In UK?
In the UK. Yeah, we're called Mick. We're called Mix in the US.
Mix?
Because the name Patrick is such a common name. Patrick and Michael.
Okay.
United States, the goddamn mix, right? And in the United Kingdom, we're fucking paddies. Fucking paddies.
But is it derogative, or you can use it? In
derogatory. We don't feel. I don't feel offended. It's like giddy. They call me giddy in Spain. I don't feel offended.
Yeah, but Terry, when I go to this bar, O'Hara, if I say paddy, will I get beaten or not?
No. You say it with a smile on your face.
Okay.
Hey, Paddy!
Okay, I will try soon. Okay.
You will have problem in hooligans. I think.
Okay, please, Sergey, this one.
There is a camera for taking some story. I don't know. It's the process when the police department guys asking the person about criminals, and I like
interrogation.
Yeah, I like the red shorts of Gerard. It's a good stylish.
Looks gypsy to me, no?
Yeah, but it's brilliant. I like the red shorts.
Okay.
And we can show the window with the special. I think I don't know.
Is it jalousie?
Jalousie, yeah.
No?
What?
For making depressive atmosphere.
Depressive.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
And
we're talking about these drapes on the window. In Russia, they have a special name.
They're just shutters. Shutters.
Yeah, and one thing they showed in this scene was very important, that there is an intense scene, an intense interrogation going inside this room, and there were people out there celebrating birthdays of their colleagues, and they're like, nothing happens, nothing serious happening in this room. They were like in that mindset. So it implies that this kind of interrogation is very common in there, and people were like, okay, what's we have today? Then okay, we have a couple of person who's about to confess the crime they didn't commit, something like that. It showed the reality in every interrogation.
I like the way how it's filmed through this peephole, you know. So someone is watching them outside. So it's interesting, yeah. Okay, guys, we're out of time, so that will be all for today. Let's call it a day, right?
Let's call it a day.
Let's call it a day.
Let's call it a wrap. A wrap is after a movie shoot. Let's call it a wrap.
Okay, let's call it a wrap. And for the next movie, I will find some dystopian, you know, that we can speak about social rating and all these things.
All right, then.
But if you don't want, please suggest something else. Okay, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.